Hey guys, Shelby Reed here. I also have Rob Hyder up on the screen, and we are here with Senior Living Experience. And we're here today to talk about one of the biggest topics and questions and conversations that we have lately, and that is how do we handle moving into a senior living community during this global pandemic that is COVID-19. Everyone's wanting to know, how can we do it safely, keep ourselves safe, keep our families safe, but still move and still have a successful move and know that we're going to get into the communities very safely, virus free, and get settled in our new homes.
Absolutely. I know, obviously working with our team, for the folks that don't know who we are, we moved and transitioned roughly 150 seniors into senior living facilities in the last 12 months. Lots and lots of experience with that. And as a result of that, we have had to dig deep into this because all of the folks that are moving in that we're trying to help transition to senior living keep having this question, rightfully so. We're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today's April 25th, right? And if you don't have to move in right now, great. It's probably, that's the right decision. But there are folks out there that have to move in right now. So saying, oh, well, now that we have to, how do we do it safely? How do we do it at the top level of safety, stay healthy, and kind of make sure that the right steps are being taken? So given that we've had this conversation so often, we kind of just want to discuss with you guys and go over some of the steps that we're really seeing out there and what we think the folks that are really leading the industry in this are seeing. So hopefully this can help you and kind of calm some of the nerves about this process if you have to move. So Shelby, you just want to start and kind of go through some of the stuff you're seeing and telling people?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest concerns is how is the movers going to be protected? So what type of protective equipment are they wearing? How are they handling your things when they're coming into your home, doing the packing, doing the loading? And one of the biggest things that our team is doing is all of our crew members, they're wearing the protective PPE. So they have on their masks, their gloves. They also have hand sanitizers belted onto their belts, actually, their belt pockets there, so that if they do have to take their gloves off in the case of they need to move something that's heavy or anything like that, they are constantly putting the hand sanitizer on, putting their gloves back on if need be, and getting back to work. Another big item that they've all been trained on is limiting their touch points. So what this means is instead of coming into a typical move that we would have done maybe 2 months ago, where they're used to just using their hands a lot and moving something multiple times and therefore touching it multiple times, what our crews are now doing is they're going straight to an item. They have very clear instructions and what we call an inventory list. So when they show up, they go directly to that dresser. They pick it up one time. They take it out, they load it into the truck, and bam, they're done. So we're really seeing a lot of success in that, and that we're just keeping our hands as limited as we can on the items.
Absolutely. I think that's the key. And a lot of folks might not know the full process. So kind of how we handle it is, right, the first step is to have an in-home consultation. We've been trying to do that with as limited as, limiting that as much as possible, doing it more with a Zoom call like this or with FaceTime where we can kind of do it virtually, right, to lessen the possibility of the touch points for the seniors' homes that we're going into. But beyond that, right, so then the packers come in, pack up all of the goods. They use the correct PPE materials, the gloves and the masks and all of that. Hand sanitizer is readily available. And then they obviously put the goods in the moving truck, get them to the unit, the residential unit. And then from that point, they wipe everything down as much as possible, keep it clean. Okay, so then the next step is the unpackers come in, and a totally separate group. They come in with their PPE safety materials, and as they're taking the items out and unpacking the items and getting them set up, they're also wiping them down, sterilizing them, making sure that, if Lysol is an acceptable solution for the folks that are moving into that unit. Some folks with COPD and different things might not be able to use Lysol, so we have other solutions for that. But using Lysol and or, Clorox wipes and things of that nature to make sure everything is sanitized as it's getting put into place. From that point, as they're getting completed and they're coming out and working out of the unit, towards the door, they're then doing an additional third step of sanitation where they're either spraying down the items and wiping them down or wiping them down with a Clorox wipe or things of that nature to make sure that they are sterilized again prior to that. And then correct me if I'm wrong, from that step, they are totally out of the picture in relation to physically being there.
Exactly.
Then the senior living facility is typically alerting the new resident, okay, you can come in. And a lot of times the resident or the resident's family will come with gloves and a mask on that, obviously they put on right before they go into the unit, and then do another round of cleaning so that they feel comfortable. And now they have a fourth level of sanitation prior to going in. And
Right. Right. And that's obviously case by case. Some families have the ability and the resources to do that, and that's amazing, and we always encourage that because it gives that like what you said, that fourth level of cleaning, and also that comfort level to know that you are protected as much as possible. But that's not a requirement. We feel our teams are getting that third clean down, and we're really emphasizing that touchless unpacking service so that we're not relying on your family to help, but obviously, we always encourage that if that's resources is available to do. And another thing we're
yeah,
kind of doing,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not a necessary thing, but it's, some of the folks feel like, hey, why not give it a once over before we go,
for
just to
sure,
provide that. But it's
for
absolutely
sure.
not necessary. You're right.
And
It's been
another,
times already.
yeah. And another thing we've been doing also is we're obviously when kitchen items are moved in, you've got plates and cups and silverware and things that are personally going in your mouth. So we want to protect those as much as possible. And so the units that do have a dishwasher, our unpacking team is loading the dishwasher, turning it on, running, turning the dishwashing unit on, and then leaving. And then that way, either the resident's family or that resident, when they come in, they're unloading the dishes. No one's touching them but them. They've been highly sanitized again, which I love that process. That's been really successful. And a lot of people, we've been doing that on every one of our moves.
No, and I forgot about that step, and you're absolutely right. That's just if it's feasible, do that every time, and I'm so happy to hear that they're doing that. Um, and the other piece is obviously limiting the number of folks in. So as like I was saying, as everyone's leaving, they're sanitizing on the way out, so that okay, a few more folks are coming in, but then they're sanitizing on the way out. So you kind of know that at every step that it's being cleaned. So then another group isn't coming in, it's just you, and it's been sanitized
Absolutely.
twice as everyone's leaving.
Absolutely. And I think, the situation is to keep us all as safe as possible. And I think with our virtual in-home appointments, paired with this touchless unpacking, also combined with our movers and they're limiting their touch points and their protection and the equipment they're wearing, we're safely getting these moves done, and we're allowing these residents to go forward with the move, which is a lot of times what they need and is going to benefit them in a health stance outside of the COVID-19. And so we're just really happy that we've implemented these new procedures and we're seeing these moves being done very successful, and people are staying safe.
Absolutely. And I don't think I don't think a lot of moving companies that don't otherwise work with seniors probably are following those same steps or know all of this. So just make sure, for folks out there listening, just make sure that these steps, I mean, these are best practice steps. So if you're working with anybody that doesn't move seniors on a very active basis, make sure that they're aware of all these steps and these are being done. I mean, these are the
That's a
key.
good point.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we handle a lot of these scenarios, so we've had to work out all of these issues and make sure that our moving companies are handling these the right way. But if they're not working with seniors often, that make sure that this is being done. And then
Absolutely.
kind of transitioning to the next point. Unless did you have something else on that?
No, that was no.
Perfect. Well,
Okay.
so then the question for a lot of folks is, all right, great, we safely moved in.
Mm-hmm.
What happens now? Now we're here. How do we stay safe within the unit? or within the complex,
Mhm.
within the senior living community. So why don't you just go through some of the stuff you're hearing and seeing folks doing out there in the facilities that we're working with?
Absolutely. That's such a great question, and one of the biggest topics we talk about on our what we call these pre-move calls, where we're talking with the residents and the family, because getting moved is only half the battle. Right now, you're in these communities, and which I fully understand can be just a stressful thought process as the move itself. Um, but we've communicated with and talked with a lot of communities, and some of the steps they're taking. They're obviously being very successful. There's no cases in the communities that we've worked with here in town. Um, and some of the things they're doing is, if you do move in, you are quarantined in your apartment for 14 days, which is a standard rule. And that is, again, to just make sure if you have been exposed, or anyone within your tight knit group that did your move was exposed, you're keeping everything to your apartment, and you're fine, and not, just being ultra cautious to not make sure you're not spraying anything to the other residents in the community. And the community is there to support you. So they're going to be bringing up all your meals. They're going to, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner is brought to your door. Any health needs, like medications or any assistance with that, it's brought to your door. So they're just limiting your time outside of your apartment.
Yeah, and
Which
that's
really,
exactly it, right?
yeah, and in reality, under these new not new now, but under these stay-at-home orders, that's really essentially what all of us are encouraged to do, which is stay at home, stay in your apartment, stay safe. But we're in the communities, we're just seeing a little bit of a more of a push, just to because you have a lot of people under one roof, so it's just a more encouragement to stay in your apartment, and let the staff that's there, let them help you. And that's the biggest one of the biggest benefits of being there, right? I mean, you don't have to have your worry about running to the grocery store. You're not having to worry about having that plumber come into your house if all of a sudden your sink stops working or your dishwasher stops working. I mean, the people who are in these communities, they're being screened and tested every day when they show up for work. So everyone's there, and let them help you and let them support you. That's one of the biggest benefits of why you would want to continue forward with your move.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously all the stuff that everybody knows now, like, following the CDC recommended guidelines, washing your hands thoroughly for 20 seconds, staying kind of within your unit, like you were mentioning, or kind of limiting your non-essential trips out of your unit, um,
Sure.
disinfecting any of the touch points, try not to touch your face, all the stuff that are just the general CDC guidelines, which you would do anyway, but just being even more mindful of that kind of as you're in the community, or if the seniors or the folks that are moving in, and then all the folks that are in the community are following those same procedures, obviously it drastically lessens any possibility of health issues. Oh.
Sure. Sure.
Well, guys, hopefully, unless you have anything else, Shelby, hopefully this was a really good kind of analysis of what we're seeing, what we're hearing.
Mhm.
We're going to be continuing to have these kind of conversations as more and more stuff keeps coming up. Um, there, we're hearing from so many folks in different, facilities so often, that the more information we can kind of share, hopefully the better everyone will be and the safer everyone will be.
For sure. And I just want to encourage everyone that is listening, give us a call. We'll share our contact info, but just give us a call. What Rob said, we are talking with a lot of different people. We're talking with the communities. We can help just walk through and try and guide you, and answer any questions or concerns you might have, and just really explain a lot of our processes even further with you, just to help you fully understand, and make the best decision you possibly can.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Until next time.
Awesome. See ya.